Before heading into the unknown, you should take some time to prepare. Make sure you have enough space to explore the ruins. They may be vast. Begin by placing the Start Dungeon tile at the center of your play area. Shuffle the remaining dungeon tile deck. Separate the Novice Beasts and the Boss Beasts into their own decks. Shuffle both decks and then set the Boss Beasts aside. Take the remaining beast, item, and event cards and shuffle them together, creating one large deck. Place it at the heart of your play area. Each player rolls the die, and the highest roll goes first. Each player will receive a player health tracker, and then take turns drawing one Novice Beast to be their loyal companion. Each player chooses their corresponding token, and places it upon the start area of the Start Dungeon tile. Roll the die to determine how far you can move. Movement can be forward, backward, left, or right. If your movement lands you on a threshold, you may reveal what lies beyond. Draw a dungeon tile and place it to expand the dungeon. Any player that places a new dungeon tile also receives a stat point of their choosing. Once the new room is revealed, if you have movement left, you must finish moving. However, you do not have to move on to the new tile. You could turn around and head back in the direction you came. When your movement ends, whether you revealed a new dungeon tile or not, draw a card to uncover what awaits in your new location. If it is an item, place the card into your hand. Your turn ends. If you already have 5, either discard the item or choose one from your hand to discard. If it is an event, trust in the fates. Follow the steps in the event section. If it is a beast, prepare yourself for battle. Follow the steps in the combat section. If you draw an event card, may the fates favor you. Roll the die and compare your result to the outcomes listed on the card. If your outcome affects something in the future, such as decreasing movement on your next turn or changing aspects of your next battle, for example, hold on to the event card until it applies. After an outcome has occurred, the card is sent to the discard pile. If your outcome causes you to gain or lose stat points, you get to choose which stat to give them to or take them from. If you currently have no stat points or are maxed out, the outcome doesn't apply and the event card is discarded. If you draw a beast card, combat begins. First, choose one of your companion beasts to engage the enemy beast. Decide if you will request the aid of another player, or go it alone. Once a beast is in play, it stays in play, until it is defeated or combat ends. If you draw a beast on your turn, you may choose to request help from other players, and they may choose whether or not to assist. They could help you out of the kindness of their hearts, or even better, start negotiations. If you choose to request help, it must be done before the battle begins. Help cannot be requested after combat starts. If not already visible, you are allowed to view the beast belonging to other players. Other players may negotiate in order to gain something in return for their help. Maybe the helping player wants the stat point for defeating the beast, or to be the first to try and capture it, or one of your items, or something else entirely. There are no limits to negotiations. Let your imagination run wild. It's up to you to choose one player and one beast from their team to aid you in the battle ahead. You continue to control and roll for your team and the enemy beast, while the assisting player rolls for their beast. Speed determines the turn order for both players and the enemy beast. If there is a tie, roll the die. Damage from the enemy beast is split between players. If it is an odd amount, the damage is rounded and you take the higher amount. When the enemy beast has an elemental advantage, the damage is doubled after being split. Once the enemy beast is defeated, you may try to capture it, unless it has been negotiated otherwise. If you and the assisting player are defeated, the assisting player's beast returns to them at full health. You head back to the start area, and all your beasts return to full health, but you lose a stat point. All bosses are still battled solo. Next, set the health trackers. Adjust the enemy health tracker to the enemy beast's health. Adjust your player health tracker to your chosen companion beast's health. Don't forget to include any health stat points. A beast with the highest speed attacks first. Remember to include any speed stat points. If both beasts have the same speed, roll the die. The highest roll goes first. On the enemy beast's turn, roll the die to determine the enemy beast's attack. If the result is even, the enemy uses the first attack. If the result is odd, the enemy uses the second attack. If the attack includes a status effect, roll the die to see if it applies. Do you evade the attack? Roll the die. If you roll a 5 or 6, the attack misses. Otherwise, the attack hits. Does the enemy have an elemental advantage? If so, all damage is doubled. This includes damage from status effects. Deal damage to your beast. Decrease your player health tracker by the damage amount. If your beast is defeated, choose another beast from your team to avenge your fallen ally. Set your player health tracker to the new beast's health. There's no need to determine turn order. On your turn, you continue the battle with your new beast. If the enemy beast is frozen or blind, first roll to check if the beast can attack. All companion beast health is restored after combat. On your turn, you get to choose which of your companion beast's attacks to use. If the attack you choose includes a status effect, roll to check if it applies. Does the enemy evade? Roll the die. If the result is a 5 or 6, your attack misses. Otherwise, your attack hits. Do you have an elemental advantage? If so, all damage is doubled, including damage from status effects. Deal damage to the enemy beast. Remember your stat points. Decrease the enemy health tracker by the damage amount. When calculating damage amount, attack stat points only apply to your beast's base attack, not status effects. If your beast is frozen or blind, first roll to check if you can attack. If the enemy beast's health reaches 0, the battle is won. A stat point is awarded. You get to choose which stat to apply it to. You may attempt to capture and tame the beast. Roll the die and compare the result to the capture difficulty. If the result is equal to or higher, the beast is tamed and joins you as a companion beast. If the result is lower, you may use an item card to increase the capture rate or allow the beast to escape. If the beast is not captured, the beast is discarded. After the battle, all your beasts return to full health, including any that may have been defeated. If using a challenge mode, those rules would apply. If any negotiations were made for this battle, those terms would apply. If you flee battle, no stat points are awarded. If every beast on your team has been defeated, the battle is lost. You lose a stat point. You get to choose which stat to remove it from. All discovered dungeon tiles remain. You return to a space in the start area, which one is up to you. You keep all your beasts and items, and all your beasts are returned to full health. If using a challenge mode, those rules would apply. Once combat concludes, the player's turn ends. Stat points are sources of great power that, when applied, cause your beasts to increase their effectiveness in certain areas. Stat points are team-wide. All your beasts receive the bonus. They can be used to increase the health, attack, or speed stats of your beasts. Each stat has a maximum of 10 points that can be applied. 30 points total. Attack stat points only apply to base attack damage, not status effects. There are multiple ways to gain stat points. When a new dungeon tile is revealed, the player revealing it gets 1 stat point. Certain event outcomes provide stat points, and when you defeat an enemy in battle, you are awarded a stat point. But if you flee battle, no point is awarded. When you receive stat points, you get to choose which stat to apply the points to. There are also a couple ways in which you may lose points. Certain event outcomes will cause you to lose stat points, and if you are defeated in battle, you lose 1 stat point. When losing points, you get to choose which stat to remove the points from. The path to victory lies in defeating the final boss. Once 7 dungeon tiles have been revealed, the time has come to face the ultimate challenge. The first player to reach the boss area gets to draw a boss card and initiate combat, following the same sequence as in the combat section. The battle rages until the boss's health is reduced to 0. The first player to defeat the boss is declared the winner. It is strongly recommended that you have filled all available companion slots to stand a chance against the boss's formidable strength. If you are defeated by the boss card is shuffled back into the boss deck. A new boss is drawn for the next challenger. In the heat of battle, exploiting elemental weaknesses is key to gaining the upper hand. When a beast has an elemental advantage, it deals double damage. For example, fire deals 2 times the amount of damage to wind. Status effects can turn the tide of battle for better or worse. Mastering them will give you an edge in combat, allowing you to outmaneuver even the most powerful foes. Most status effects require the roll of a die to determine whether additional damage or healing is applied. Frozen and blind always take effect when inflicted. However, their effects last for 1 turn only unless reapplied. The target must roll on their next turn to determine if they can attack. If they can't, the status wears off at the end of their turn. Double damage applies if there is an elemental advantage. Attack stat points do not apply to status effects. For those seeking to add variety or a greater test of skill, try these optional challenge modes. You can mix and match them, or even create your own. Hard mode. All bosses have 75 health, making them significantly more difficult to defeat. Hardcore mode. When a companion beast is defeated, it is discarded. If your novice beast is defeated, It remains, but cannot be used until either a revive potion is used or the player returns to start. Randomized mode. Add unpredictability to combat. During your turn, roll the die to determine which attack your own companion beasts perform. PvP mode. If two players end up on adjacent tiles, they must engage in combat. The victor may take one beast from the defeated player, excluding novice beasts. The defeated player returns to start. Solo mode. Take on the ruins alone. The boss is your competition. Either you beat them and win, or are defeated. No retries. All other base rules remain the same. Combine with other modes or homebrew rules for greater variety. God mode. There is no limit to leveling, which means it's back to pencil and paper for stat tracking. All bosses must be defeated, one after the other, in a single battle. The ancient ruins stand ready to challenge you. Steel your hearts, sharpen your wits, and step boldly into the adventure that awaits.